All right, we're good to go.
All right. Hello, everyone. It's great to see everyone again. I think this is our 5th clinic, if I'm not mistaken. We've got Gerald again with Quinn and myself, and very happy and very pleased that Jeff Trey is able to join us tonight. Renee Rector was also going to be joining us, but when you're big time like Renee is, she got caught into a college scrimmage at the last minute, so she had to drop out. So we'll try to make do without her, and we miss her. There were a couple of questions that came up that I'll try to answer, hopefully very briefly. Great questions. One was, I was asked to reaffirm or confirm a statement that we made a few weeks ago about intentional fouls. And the play situation that was described to me is a play situation that we actually had several times last year, and which is why I brought it up several weeks ago. A1 drives to the basket, is fouled in the act of shooting, the ball goes in, and the official who calls the foul determines that it's an intentional foul, or they decide to upgrade it to an intentional foul. It doesn't matter either way. They end up with an intentional foul. So we had what was an and one has now turned into an intentional foul situation. And the question is, do we shoot the and one with nobody on the line and then come back and shoot 2 shots for the intentional foul? And the answer to the question is, to reaffirm what was said several weeks ago, the answer to that question is no. We're talking about, we've decided to turn a common foul into an intentional foul. They're 2 separate types of fouls. So you never, ever shoot less than 2 shots. You always shoot 2 shots, just 2 shots for an intentional foul. The only exception to that is if you have an intentional foul on a 3-point shooter and the shot's missed. In that case, you would shoot 3 shots and then give the ball to the team that just shot the 3 shots. If the shot's missed, if the 3-point shot is made, you would shoot 2 shots for the intentional foul. On the play that I just described, the earlier play that I described, going to the basket, he makes the shot and is fouled going to the basket on the layup. He makes the shot, he's fouled, it's called an intentional foul. You will count the basket, take everybody off the line, to take 2 shots, shoot 2 shots, give the ball to the team that was offended. If he makes the basket, you count the basket, shoot 2 shots, give the ball back to the team that was offended. You never shoot the and one plus 2 shots. Did I make that clear, guys?
Yes.
Okay. The other one was backcourt. We're back to backcourt violations. The play situation was the ball. A1 has the ball in the front court. He's either dribbling it or holding it. It doesn't matter. But he's got the ball in the front court, A1. A1 passes the ball into the back court. So we had team possession because A1 had possession of the ball. We had player control, so we have team possession. We have front court status because he's in the front court with the ball, totally in the front court. Now he passes the ball. Remember that during a pass, we still have team possession while the ball's in flight during a pass. The ball touches in the back court, but it touches with backspin for somehow and comes back into the front court, where a player for team A is the first to touch it. The question was, do we have a backcourt violation in that scenario? The answer is yes. We have team possession during that entire scenario. The ball went, A1 was the last to touch it in the front court. When the ball touches in the back court, it now has backcourt status. If anybody for team A picks the ball up or is the next to touch the ball anywhere on the court, it's a backcourt violation. Last to touch in the front court, first to touch when the ball has backcourt status. We all good with that?
Yes.
I guess I'll take that as a yes. That's great. Any other questions that anybody has, email them in and we'll try to deal with them. We will deal with them. Block charge, verticality. Those are the topics for tonight. Block charge and verticality. We've got some good clips. Hope everybody gets something out of this. Here's the first clip. To establish legal guarding position, initial legal guarding position, the guard must have both feet touching the playing court, and the front of the guard's torso must be facing the opponent. All right, so we've got to be facing the opponent, both feet on the floor, to establish an initial legal guarding position. In this case, we'll show it one more time. We can clearly see, I think there's a replay on this, so we don't need to show it again. We should show this. Clearly, the guard on this play never gets set and never gets in front of the offensive player. So we cannot have initial legal guarding position on this play. There's not initial legal guarding position on this play. Okay. Gerald, you want to talk about the coverage on this play, the mechanics of the coverage?
Yes, Quinn, if we can go back to the beginning of the play right here, it's fine. When we have a transition play like this, as the lead official, I think some of the things that we can do to help us out on this play is, first of all, it's in the slots primary. So the lead official should definitely locate the basketball and also locate his partner to see if his partner is in good position to referee this play. If he's in good position to referee the play, then we can stay engaged, but we know we do not have the first crack at this play. If he's not in good position, we know we have to be a little bit more aggressive with our whistle and maybe take the play from the start. Right here, we're going to see drive to the basket. We're going to have a crash, and the lead, like I said, should let the slot have total control over this play right here. Really, we shouldn't even have a whistle from the lead. He should just stay engaged with the play and let the slot just take it. It's his primary. It's a one-on-one play to the basket. But being that we do have double whistles on this play, it was a good post and hold. Make eye contact, and one official should give it up to the other. I would love to see the lead give it up to the slot official because it's his play, but he decides to take it. We should definitely have a preliminary signal on this play at the spot, but we don't. So these are some of the things that we should definitely do on this play. Make eye contact, give it up to the primary official on this play, let him take it to the table. It just looks a whole lot better when the right official is taking the play to the table.
Clip two. Clip two, illustrates two things. One, it illustrates about getting an initial legal guarding position on an airborne shooter versus a dribbler. And also we have some elements of verticality on this play. Refereeing the defender on an airborne shooter is more difficult than refereeing a defender because you have more to deal with. But to referee effectively, to referee an airborne shooter, the defender has got to get legal guarding position before the airborne shooter leaves the floor. They've got to get to a legal spot before the airborne shooter leaves the floor. So in this case, we do have an airborne shooter and we do have a defender. With respect to verticality, once we've established initial legal guarding position on the shooter, the defender's movement shall be legal. The defender can rise or jump vertically and occupy the space within his or her vertical plane. The defender cannot belly up or use the lower part of the body to cause contact outside the defender's vertical plane. So in this case, Jeff, we don't have a whistle on this play, but we do have an airborne shooter. Has the defender done anything legal on this play? And should we have had a whistle on this play? If so, why not? Talk to us.
The defender didn't do anything legal on this play. Has fit both the lead and the C official are in good positions. This is C's play all the way to the basket, his primary, but it's obvious that the defender goes through the offensive airborne player. No foul. We should have had a foul on that. If the primary C official doesn't have a call, the lead should have a call on that play. Both of them were in good position. They just decided to pass for whatever reason on this play. The offensive player went to the floor, plenty of contact, and it's a foul.
Anybody want to have anything to add on that play?
I think the key here is if you look at where the defender took off from and where she landed, there's no way she was vertical. She takes off outside we have as a reference point here, the restricted area arc, which doesn't mean anything for our purposes, but it's a handy reference. She actually takes off from there and lands well inside. So there's no chance she's vertical here.
Gerald, you good?
We're good.
All right, let's go to the next one. This next clip is very interesting, I think. So again, we have two defenders on this play. The offensive player is airborne. So we have an airborne shooter. So let me say again, if the opponent with the ball is airborne, the guard must have obtained legal position before the opponent leaves the floor. Okay. Having said that, let's talk about this call, guys. I think Quinn.
Yeah. So let's let's sort of narrow things down here because we have two defenders here. So we can't see here, but let's assume that the blocking foul that was called was on 2. So if we're going to call this a blocking foul, then we have to have concluded that 2 moved into that space after the offensive player whose number I don't have written it, but the offensive player in white here went airborne. Okay, that's what we would have to determine in order for this to be a blocking foul. If you rule that 2 got there before the player in white became airborne, then this is going to be a player control foul all the way. So the whole key, if we're referring this and just thinking about the matchup between the offensive player and 2, the whole thing here boils down to, did 2 get a position here before the player went airborne? And I think it's pretty close. I mean, this is a tough play either way, but that's what we have to focus on in terms of making the correct ruling.
You know, Gerald, before we get into a further discussion on this, let me say a couple of things. Number one, I've said this probably a million times throughout my career. If you're not sure on a play, if you get caught by surprise or it's a bang banger like this one, if the only thing that you're really absolutely certain of is that the defender has taken it right smack in the middle of the chest, you're probably better off going with the player control foul, because that's what everybody in the gym will say. And number two, and a guy that we've refereed, Jeff and I have refereed a lot with in the past. He's no longer active. He made the comment one time, I think either in a post game over beers or a pre-game, and we weren't drinking beers. When there's contact and the defender goes sideways, the defender usually got there. That means the defender got there late 99% of the time if they go sideways. But if they go straight back, they're usually on time. And that means they took it right smack in the chest. I think that in real time, this is a bang banger. When Quinn slowed it down for you, I think that I think most of us would agree that the defender had gotten there just in time, right before the guy goes airborne. He's there. He's got initial legal guarding position. He's in his spot, but in the spot before the offensive player actually leaves the floor. But with that said, Quinn, you're right. It's a tough one. Gerald, we got two secondary defenders on this play. Break this down for us.
Yes, definitely. I think here, if we go right here, Quinn, and we just stop it before the contact. Like Chuck said, we have two secondary defenders on this play, and we know the secondary defender on drives is the lead's responsibility. But we have a secondary defender, which is number 21. We can get some help from the slot on this play on 21 blue to help the lead out on this play. The lead should be concentrating on 2 blue, definitely on 2 blue. I think 2 blue is there in time. And one thing I was always told, when you have multiple defenders, when you're going to the basket, sometimes just look at the offense, because if there's any illegal contact, they're going to go to the offensive player when you have multiple defenders on a play. But here, the lead has secondary defender. The slot should help out with 21 blue. And that's the way we should cover this play right here.
Now, you talk a lot about post and hold situations, Gerald.
I think this is a great play to post and hold right here from the slot. I think he should have a whistle on this play, especially because 21 blue comes into the picture. So a whistle by the slot would be great. Just post a foul, just look at your lead and just hold and let the lead have it. But I think this is a good play to post and hold on this play.
Very good. Jeff, this is the type of play that's fraught with, I like to say fraught with peril, because so much could happen on this play. So why don't you take us through a couple of scenarios that could be bad, and how fortunately the crew prevented those bad things from happening, because we didn't have a double whistle and we didn't have double preliminaries on this play. But take us through those scenarios, Jeff, please.
Well, we could have had 2 scenarios. We could have had multiple foul on 21 and 2 if we'd had a double whistle. In that case, we would have to get together, choose and discuss if one foul occurred for the other, and take the one foul to the table. I think we could, if we would have had multiple foul calls on separate players here, we could have distinguished a foul for, we could have made a choice. The other situation is we could have had the large call, where we'd have one official calling a charge, the other calling a block. In that case, we're going to have to call, we're going to have to report both fouls. And I think you're going to go over what would happen if the ball went in or didn't go in.
So, and the large call, so what we could have had is one of the officials calling a blocking foul on 21, and the other official calling a charge on the offensive player, right?
Correct.
Is that what I'm saying? Yeah. Instead of a blarge, the typical blarge would be one official calling a charge on the offensive player and the other official calling a blocking foul on 2. But suppose one of the officials was calling a charge on 5 and the other official was calling a block on 21 blue. Is that a blarge?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you would handle that the same way as you handle the one that is always in our mind, where it's one offensive player and his defender, as opposed to 2 different.
Correct.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think if lead would have anticipated a double whistle here,
Right,
you would stay out of that potential situation. As you said earlier, we didn't have a double whistle, so we didn't have it. But anticipating another whistle on that play from the slot would have probably put the crew in a better situation if we would have had a charge against 5 and a block by the other official calling a block on 2.
all right. The only thing we'll add to that is, if we had a double whistle and one official is calling a charge on the offensive on 2, and the other official, or 5, and the other official is calling a blocking foul on 2, that's what we call a blarge. It's a double foul. It's neither a player control foul nor a blocking foul. It is a double foul. if both officials give a preliminary, one gives a blocking foul preliminary, the other gives the preliminary for a player control foul, there is no discussion. There is to be no discussion amongst the officials as to how they're going to weasel their way out of that. You can't, don't, if you've given preliminaries, there is no weaseling out of it. You're going to have to take it to the table as a double foul, report the foul on both players. And on all double fouls in basketball, high school basketball, you go to the point of interruption if there is a point of interruption. In this case, had there been a double foul called on this play, the ball did not go in the basket, okay? On a shot. So we have no team possession. So we have no point of interruption to go back to on this double foul, had a double foul been called. In that case, you go to the alternating possession error. Had the ball gone in the basket, per the NFHS rulebook, you count the basket. You report the double foul, you count the basket, and now you do have a point of interruption. The team that just got scored on gets the ball for an inline throw in. They can run the baseline, okay? We know, at least those of us who have been around for a while, we know that the North Carolina NCHSAA has had a contrary interpretation over the past, I don't know, 10, 15 years, that you do not count the basket if the ball had gone in on a double foul, blarge. But I think that we have moved away from that North Carolina interpretation, and we're going strictly by the NFHS rulebook. If we find out that we are incorrect on that, we will let everybody know. We'll get the word out to everybody. But unless you hear differently, go by the rule book, go by the NFHS rule book. You count the basket if you have the dreaded blarge. Okay, we good with that, guys? We'll move on. Oh, and by the way, if you do have that blarge, no matter, if you do have that blarge, understand that one or both coaches are going to be irritated. Probably on this play, somebody's going to disagree with that calling, but especially when you have something weird like a blarge, you got to take your time. It's unusual. Take your time, get together as a crew, make sure we're all on the same page as to where we're going with this. Take it to the table, report it at the table, make sure the table understands. You're dealing with a high school table that doesn't see this every day, this type of scenario. So make sure you clearly explain at the table. And if you feel that if the coaches are looking for an explanation, get them both together at the same time, calling official and somebody else in the crew, get the coaches together. If an explanation is needed, get them together at the same time, give it. Make sure it's clear that you're not there to debate it. You're not there to discuss it. You're there to inform them of what has been called and how it's being administered by rule. And then move on and understand that one or both coaches may want to vent a little bit more, get away from them, put the ball back in play, let's go. If they won't go back to coaching when you put the ball back in play, or they won't let you put the ball back in play because of the behavior, do not forget that, especially on a play like this, if there's any way that you can just put a warning in the book before you have to assess a technical foul, use the warning, especially on a play like this, unless they just don't give you a choice, and then put the ball back in play and let them get back to coaching. All right. Gerald, anything to add to that?
No, I think we're good.
All right. All right, after we obtain initial legal guarding position, the guard may have one or both feet on the playing court or be airborne. I've already said that. It's not required to continue facing the opponent. Once we've established initial legal guarding position, we're no longer required to face the opponent. We can move laterally or obliquely. Now I'm talking about on a dribbler. We can move laterally or obliquely to maintain position, provided it is not toward the opponent when contact occurs. The guard may turn or duck to absorb the shock. When guarding an opponent with the ball, no time or distance is required to obtain initial legal guarding position. This one happens to be a pass and crash play, which we really wanted to show. So this is just a great example of a defender meeting the requirements of obtaining an initial legal guarding position. He's right there. He's faced up, both feet on the floor, and he's maintained that position. He hasn't moved forward. He's just taken every bit of it. Great job of the lead official not following the pass. He stays with the play. He's refereeing the defender. He sees the possibility of the crash coming, and he gets he gets a whistle in a play that absolutely has to have a whistle. And he's not going to get much help from the slot on this play, because the slot's done a great job of recognizing the pass is coming into his primary, and he's adjusting position to get ready to referee that play. The trail does a great job of hustling into the front court. And I guess, Gerald, would you agree if the slot doesn't get that, the trail can come get it? I mean, he's got it in the front court, right?
Definitely. We need a whistle on that play.
But a great job of the lead refereeing this play all the way from through the end of the play. And really, Quinn, I think the only thing that we can continue to discuss on this play is the much misunderstood concept of the long switch. So if you can take us kind of through that, maybe it'll help us all get on the same page with that, so that when the ball becomes dead, we're not all looking at each other trying to figure out who's going where. We can concentrate on players.
Yeah. So I think the easiest way to think about it is that in virtually every case, in almost every case where we have a foul and we're going to be going the other way, typically what happens is we step out, report the foul, and we go back to our spot. There's one exception to that, and this is what is the so-called long switch, which was introduced probably, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years ago now, probably. If the lead calls a foul and we are going the other way, so we have it's a foul on the offense, we're going the other way, which is exactly what we have in this case, then in that case, the lead is going to come out and report the foul and is going to switch with whichever official is table side. So it doesn't matter what side of the court the lead happens to be on. It doesn't matter who's in front. If the lead calls the foul and we're going the other way, the lead is going to come out and there's going to be a switch between the lead and either the trail or the C, whichever one happens to be table side. So it's only in that circumstance that it happens. I think where we get a little mixed up is in this is the play where we have a long switch. So we have a foul by the offense, we're going the other way. Where I think we get confused is, let's say we don't have a crash on this play, the shot goes up, rebound comes off, and blue now has the ball. And now blue is in their backcourt and is fouled. We do not have a long switch in this case, because the foul does not result in a change of possession. The foul is going to result with blue getting the ball back. So in that case, the lead is actually no longer the lead. They're now the new trail. In that case, they're going to step out, report the foul, and come back, because they're not the lead calling a foul going the other way. So again, in almost every case, we come out, report the foul, go back to our position. The one exception being when the lead calls a foul and we're changing possession, so we're going the other way, and in which case the lead's going to switch with whoever's table side.
Well, you've made that clear, and I think, but still, let's make sure we go one step further. Suppose the slot had this foul, Quinn, instead of the lead. Do we have a switch then?
No.
No. What do we do? How do we put?
So the slot, and I think the table, I think in this case is sort of over here on this side. So let's say the slot has the foul. The slot's going to come out to the foul reporting area. We still need to make sure we clear the players to get to the foul reporting area. We're going to report the foul, and then the C is going to come right back here and be the C again, because I'm assuming the lead's going to put the ball in play right here. If for some reason the lead was going to put the ball in play over here, the C would still come out and report the foul, but would then go down to become the new lead going down. So, but in any case, that's not a switch. That's just a dead ball rotation we've had.
Correct. And the same thing is true if the trail had that foul in this case, as Gerald and I discussed. Suppose the lead didn't pick this up and the trail got it. Still not going to have a switch. The
Trail's
only,
going to turn around, report, and go and stay right where he is.
hey, Gerald, you got any questions on that?
Not at all.
All right.
I love the mechanics by the league.
And let me just start, just one other thing. If you in a play, this is a big game, a tight game, the lead is working hard. If you know you're supposed to switch with the lead, don't let him think about it. Just start. I mean, if I'm in the trail there, who he should be doing the long switch, I'm already going to start hustling down there so that as soon as he reports the foul, we can get the ball in play. So it's not just the responsibility of the lead to know this. Whoever's table side, go ahead and have that switch. Don't give them a choice. Just get there and they'll go, oh, I guess I'm supposed to switch on it, because the lead's got a lot on his plate right now. He's got to get to the table, remember the numbers, so don't help your partners out.
Very good. And Gerald is right. The mechanics, this is the proper mechanic when you're calling a player control foul. It's also the proper mechanic now, isn't it, Jeff, when you've got any offensive foul? Is that correct? Don't you have to go behind your head on any offensive foul like this?
You do, yes.
Okay. All right.
Next one.
Yes, sir. It's yours, Jeff.
This is a good illustration of a secondary defender. Lee does a really good job on this play of getting good position, but I think his eyes move off and go to look at the ball. The defender has clearly got a legal guarding position, 2 feet on the floor, facing the offensive player. Takes it right in the chest. Good position. Just somehow didn't find the defender quick enough to make a charge call. C had this the other defender, as we saw in the earlier clip, going up to possibly block the shot, maybe foul the defender. 21 going up. Nothing there. It's an offensive foul.
Quinn, you want to, you pointed out, you might want to elaborate just a little bit how we maybe lost track of this play just a little bit.
Yeah, it's I think this is a case, and we're all guilty of it from time to time, just a small look away. So let me get it to sort of the right spot here. So right lead, let's see, let's get right here. So right here we have a primary defender. That's the matchup, and the C has this primary defender. Okay, so right now lead needs to be refereeing, and in fact I think right now the lead is refereeing off the ball. It's sort of hard to see where I've got to stop, but the lead is refereeing off the ball right now, watching those secondary defenders, who's coming into the lane, who's moving out of the lane. Is somebody, one of the points of emphasis is off ball contact, right? So refereeing off the ball right now, the C has this. But what happens is right as he beats the primary defender, and we'll sort of see it right here, the lead takes a peek over here. Now we want to be aware of that offensive player, but we take our attention off of, and if we just back up a little bit, I mean, this defender is on the other side of the lane right now, but this play illustrates how quickly, and I mean, these are two very good teams. I mean, this defender quickly gets over and was able to successfully draw a charge, but because we let our attention drift for a minute, by the time we pick them up, it's late, and then we just end up making a wrong decision. So it's really imperative as the lead that we not get sucked into that drive, right? We have responsibilities for those secondary defenders, and the only way we're going to be able to referee them successfully is if we are with them the whole way.
And I think we also talked, and this is something that I like to try to bring up in a pregame, and I think that you guys are the same. And we discussed a little bit when we were reviewing this clip earlier. We really want the slot to be taking the higher part of this play and let the lead referee, as they did, the lower part of that play. Do you agree with that, Gerald?
Yes, yes, definitely. We have to let the slot take 21 blue and watch up high. And the lead should be watching waist down and watching the secondary defender coming in. Definitely waist down, like you said.
Anything to add, guys?
Nope.
Gerald saving himself up for the big moments here. All right.
So on this play, we won't spend a whole bunch of time on this, but on this play, I think the one thing we want to illustrate here, clearly the defender has established legal guarding position. Foot still on the floor. He has legal guarding position. And the key to this play is that the defender is not required to quote unquote take it. So in this case, the defender does begin to fall back a little bit. There's no question about that. But the defender still takes contact. In fact, he gets a knee in the chest. The fact that the defender may be falling back a little bit before the contact does not negate the fact that even if he had stood there, he would have just still gotten run over. So this is a player control foul. You know, either way, we're not going to say, oh, well, he bailed out. He's got to stand in there and take it. So this is a player control foul. And in this case, we have a player control foul, and actually good mechanics here by the lead, just to focus on that for a second. So we go up with the foul. We don't have a double whistle behind the head and point. And then it's another long switch. We have a foul by the lead and we're going the other way. So again, just to illustrate, he doesn't have to quote unquote stand in there and take it. There has to be contact, but as long as there's contact, it's still a foul, and it's still a player control foul.
Very good. Gerald knows I love this one.
Guys, the lead here is in great position. He didn't have to do much movement on this play. He was in great position. Hey, this is an easy player control foul. He picked up the defender, picked up the offensive player, driving to the basket. This is an easy offensive foul, guys.
You know, kind of
As we see it again.
Kind of piggyback on what Quinn and Jeff were talking about earlier. You said, you know, you're talking about refereeing the defender. Talk a little bit more about that, Quinn. Gerald, how do you, what's the best? You can get mesmerized, you can get caught up watching this dribbler and never, ever look at the defender on a play like this. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, it's all about primary, Chuck. You know your primary, you want to referee guys. First thing you want to do is pick up players in your primary. If you pick up players in your primary, you'll never miss that secondary defender, because that's your responsibility. And the offensive player is driving to the basket, so he's going to lead you right into the defender. Like here, he picks up the defender, offensive player goes right into the defender's chest. Easy offensive foul. It's all about knowing your primary.
Very good. Jeff, explain to us what the key components to verticality and tell us whether or not they were met in this case.
They were all met in this case. Legal guarding position was obtained. He was able to, he went vertical, straight up in the air, occupied his own space on his vertical plane. Hands and arm were raised within the vertical plane in the air. The offensive player, whether or not, may not clear out or cause contact. There was a little incidental contact, but the defender didn't belly up, didn't move into the offensive player, and just went straight up in the air. This is a good illustration of verticality. Not sure what the lead official saw here, but all components of verticality were met.
Excellent. Anything to add, anybody?
I just happened to, I was looking at the lead's positioning here just a little bit, and thinking about why he might have missed this play. So when the ball comes to the top of the key, lead closes down, but when the ball comes back out, he doesn't adjust back out to mirror the ball. And so this drive, instead of starting ideally on his outside shoulder, where he has a look at the drive the whole time, I think he gets a little bit, I think he picks up the drive a little bit late. I mean, you see, he's now trying to back out while the drives go into the basket. If he had worked a little harder right here on this pass, if he had taken two quick steps backward to get his shoulder even with the ball, would he have made a different decision? Maybe, but he would have had a different, he would have certainly had a better look at that play. So just as lead getting back, so we have that whole drive in front of us and don't get caught by surprise on contact.
Yeah, I think, again, this piggybacks on what you guys have said earlier, all three of you. I think he could have been wider, but Gerald, is there any reason for him to ever have been looking at that drive to the basket when he has that matchup that he's got?
Yes, I think it started with we always talk about mirroring the ball. And I think if he get wider and he mirrors the basketball, he'll, like Quinn said, he'll pick it up early. And maybe we can have a push in the back. We can have a pull-up jump shot from right there on the baseline. And right, if he backs out, he's in good position to support that play, those tight plays. But he doesn't, like Quinn says, he stays closed down and he actually picks up the drive late. And I think his eyes go from picks up the offense, then he picks up the defense late again, like we saw on the previous plays.
And Chuck, to your point, I mean, if he's wide, he doesn't need to look at that drive.
Just see it peripherally, right?
If he's wide, he can see it peripherally, but because he's not wide, he may have to actually take a peek over to see it. I just think if he gets wide, again, you know, we all have great looks at plays and just miss them sometimes, and maybe that would still happen, but he'd be in much better position and might make a better decision if he got a little wider there.
And you get to pick it up early. You get to pick that drive up early if you get wide.
And Chuck, he was still able to referee that matchup on the post
Right.
from being a little wider.
Absolutely. Yes, I agree. All right. What do you want to say on this one, Gerald?
This is we missed it. Let's go back to the beginning for you. Everybody's in good position so far. You just let it roll. The lead's in excellent position. He's wide. And this play right here is total opposite. He picks up the defender and he picks up the offensive player coming in. So he's in great position to take the play in, and just great offensive foul call. You see the defender coming over. You let it roll a little bit, Quinn. and you can see the lead focus go to the defender, and he's there. Great, great offensive foul by the lead official on this play. Great picking up his primary defender, and great picking up the offensive player coming in. Just great offensive foul.
Okay,
And we have one more long switch.
yeah, good point. Thank you, Jeff.
Hey, Chuck, is there any problem with where the secondary defender is standing?
Thanks for bringing that up.
Would it matter at all?
Let's all remember that we don't have a restricted area in high school basketball. This is a college court, so it's got the restricted area drawn on it. And at the college level, that restricted area would make a difference on how we officiate these drives to the basket. But in high school basketball in North Carolina, it doesn't matter where the defender is standing. He's entitled to that space. And as long as he got to that spot legally initially, and as long as he maintains the legal guarding position, wherever he is on the court, he's good. Now he's got to be on the court. I mean, if he's got a foot off the court, then he's not on the court. He's not in a legal guarding position. But in this case, even if he was in the restricted area when the contact occurred, which he's not, I mean, he ends up in it, but it doesn't matter whether he was in that restricted area or not. And had he been in the restricted area, and I think I'm also glad you brought it up for another reason, Quinn, a lot of coaches at this level, they know about the restricted area because they watch as much college basketball on TV as I do, or maybe even more. And so they think that it does make a difference in a high school game. And I've had situations where a coach would say, well, he was all the way under the basket. That can't be a player control foul. He's under the basket. And first of all, understand that's really not a question, that's a statement. So you're free to ignore it. But B, if you choose to answer it, or if it is a question, maybe he says, how can that be? I mean, doesn't the defender have to get out of the restricted area? Just answer by rule. No, not in high school basketball. There is no restricted area in high school basketball, and then move on. It's easy. You don't have to get into a clinic discussion with him or her. You don't have to argue with them. You don't have to be offended by the question or by the statement. Just answer the thing. Understand that, they see a lot of basketball on TV, so they may not know the rule, and just move on with it.
And these are all things that, because we do have not just state championship games, but Christmas tournament games, other games during the regular season that are played on college courts. If you have one of those games, you need to be talking about these things during pregame, because now somebody is going to have a question about the restricted area. If you're on a court that has one marked, you're going to have multiple 3-point lines potentially. So again, those are all good things to bring up also in pre-games if you do happen to be working on a court that may have it marked. And maybe mention to coaches when you go over, hey, I know there's a restricted area on the court tonight. Just remember, under high school rules, there is no restricted area.
And if you happen to be in a game with big time college officials like Quinn and Gerald, you might want to remind them that the restricted area doesn't count in this game that they're in tonight. Just remind them. The other thing that you hear from coaches on player control fouls is, oh, he lowered his shoulder. If you call a blocking foul, oh, he lowered his shoulder. How can that be a blocking foul on my player? Or, well, he was out of control. I mean, how can that be a foul? He was out of control. Again, those are not really questions, and they're really not. And even if they were questions, they're really not what I would call legitimate questions. They know better. The coaches know better than that. But please, none of us, this is to all of us, don't ever explain your call by saying, well, he lowered his shoulder. Even if he did, even if that's what he did and that's why you called a player control foul, don't ever say, oh, he lowered his shoulder, that's why I was your player. That has nothing. Lowering somebody's shoulder, I mean, that phrase is not even in the rule book. So leave it out of your dialogue. that has nothing to do with whether you got a blocking foul or a charging foul. And if you're waiting for a player to get under control before you call a foul, if you're waiting for a player to get under control in your high school game, for most high school games, you won't ever call a foul if that's what you're waiting on, because they're never under control. So no, the player does not have to be under control in order to draw a foul or not draw a foul. I mean, again, that phrase is not in the rule book, so take it out of your dialogue. Is that okay, Gerald?
Oh, that's fine. And another one that you always hear is he didn't take it square in the chest. We always hear that one. If we have an offensive player trying to slip by a defender and there's enough contact where we need a whistle and the defender is legal, we can't have a block. If he's legal, we cannot have a block. If the contact goes by the offense, but it's on the shoulder and it's enough contact for a whistle and the defender is legal, we cannot penalize the defender and call a block because he didn't take it in the chest.
And he doesn't have to take it in the chest. The rule book says
Doesn't have to take it in
torso,
the chest.
and torso is not chest. Right, Dr. Morris? Oh, you're not that kind of
Not that kind of doctor. Not the kind of doctor you want in any real point in your life for any good reason.
All right, next one. Jeff, is anything to add on that?
No, we're good.
All right. Gerald, if you'll take us through this one. This is the last clip.
Yes, this one right here is just pretty much the lead picks up his secondary defender. Is a matter of is he vertical or not? He's in great position. The secondary defender is in great position. He established legal guarding position. He maintains legal guarding position. And this is just a run over and a great call by the lead. I applaud the lead on this play. Great call. Offensive foul.
Jeff, anything to add?
No, I think he coming off, he sold the call very well. It was pretty obvious, but in this game we had some other no calls and other block charge calls that he needed to sell this one and did a good job doing it.
The coach didn't like that call, Gerald.
No, he didn't. Coach didn't like this call. I think he felt like there was a couple that he probably should have got on the other end. But hey, you know what? The league can't think about that on at that moment. He has to referee that play, and he got the call right.
So I'm glad you said that, Gerald. So let me ask the question this way to you and to the rest of the panel. You know, we talk about mirroring calls and being consistent and that sort of thing. So let's say that we've just had a play down at the other end of the floor where we had a pretty good crash and a no call. Now we come to the other end of the floor and we've got this play. Gerald, are you saying that we can't pass on this just because we missed one down on the other end? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. We have to referee each play on its own merit. I think we get too caught up in saying, let's mirror plays. If we have a block on one end, it's an obvious block, and we come to the other end, it's an obvious player control foul. We can't call a block. We have to referee that play for what it is. Now, the plays that we can mirror are gray area plays where the play can go either way. If we have a block on one end, we come to the other end, and it's so close it can go either way. Now we can go block, remembering that play we just had, because it's that gray area plays. So gray area plays are the plays that we can match because they can go either way.
Quinn, you have anything to add to that?
I mean, we're in the area. Every game is filmed. And so this idea of the coach isn't going to send the one on the other end. They're going to send, the coach is going to send that play, and that play has to stand on its own merits. And if it was a block, you got to call it a block. It doesn't matter what the other one was. The supervisor, whether we're talking about the supervisor for TBOA or the NCHSA, cannot defend an incorrect call because you had an incorrect call somewhere else. So, you know, if all you can do is make the right call for the play that's going on right now. So
Jeff, I'm kind of putting you on the spot because we didn't rehearse this, but now, you know, you got the coach over there who thinks you got jobbed on the other end. What do you do with that? I mean, you know that we missed one on the other end. You know, if you're in this crew, you know we probably missed one on the other end. What are you going to do with this coach?
Let the coach vent, probably have no comment for letting him vent, but let him vent to you.
As long as he doesn't get out of hand, as long as you remember we're at 59-54 with 5 minutes left to go in the state championship game in the fourth quarter. Well, it doesn't matter that it's a state championship game. Really. I agree. Gerald, I think we all agree with that, don't we?
Yes, definitely. It does. It shouldn't matter.
Anybody have anything to add?
Yeah, I do.
Go
Yeah, I
ahead.
do, real quick. Quinn, go back where the lead comes off the baseline to make that call and just stop it. Right there. All right. We're gonna put the ball back in play on what was lead side. This is a good example of a switch that we're gonna make with C on this play. It's not a long switch per se, but we are going to be switching with table side official.
Good point. I believe that's it. If nobody has anything to add, we'll sign off and thank everybody for their attention. Yes, Quinn.
Just a reminder, since people will be watching it next week, the test opens on Monday. Is that right? The 17th, I think.
Yep.
So if you're watching this before then, be ready. And it's open for 2 weeks. We talked about this last week, but just remember, you have 2 weeks to take it. Don't wait until the last day. Go ahead and get it out of the way. And remember, this year, there are fewer questions. There are 50 questions. 45 will be, I think, the standard questions that we're sort of used to seeing, and 5 video questions. So just be prepared for that coming up.
Jeff, thanks for joining us. Thanks for all the time that you gave to this. Same to you, of course, Gerald and Quinn. And I guess we got one or two more to go, depending on what my production crew is willing to do. We'll see.
All right.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.